Imagine you're the CEO of a mid-sized, rapidly growing company. Right.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
So you walk into a Monday morning strategy meeting, and you ask your CFO and your VP of sales this seemingly simple question. You say, how much revenue did we actually book last week?
Oh boy, I know where this is going.
Right. So your CFO looks at her laptop and says, 1.2 million. But then your VP of sales pulls up his own dashboard and says, nope, it's 1.5 million.
Yeah, and the crazy part is they both genuinely believe they have the exact undisputed truth.
Exactly. Because they're both looking at their own meticulously crafted spreadsheets. Welcome to the invisible war zone of modern business, what we call shadow IT.
It really is a war zone. I mean, this is a scenario that plays out in boardrooms globally every single day.
It's wild.
It is. The leadership team just assumes the company operates like this, well-organized library where data is precisely categorized.
But the reality is completely different.
Oh, completely. The reality is this murky landscape of departmental silos and disconnected systems and just endless manual workarounds.
Just people digging through digital sediment.
Yes, digging through layers of files, trying to find a spreadsheet from 3 years ago named, like, Final V4.
Just hoping it has accurate numbers, and I know you listening to this right now have felt that exact friction.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone has.
You know, you've spent hours prepping for a meeting by manually stitching together data from, like, 3 different platforms.
Knowing full well that by the time you actually presented, the data is already obsolete.
It's exhausting. But more importantly, it's an existential risk to the enterprise. Which brings us to the roadmap for today's deep dive.
I'm excited for this one.
Me too. We are unpacking this massive 2026 guidebook by Taiwo A. Bashorun. It's titled The ERP Advantage Driving Operational Excellence.
Really comprehensive source.
It really is. And our mission today is to demystify enterprise resource planning, or ERP.
Right. And we should clarify, we are not going to get bogged down in software coding.
No server architectures today.
Thank goodness. We're exploring how to transform an ERP from this dreaded technical debt into the ultimate competitive advantage.
That framing is so essential, I think, because historically, didn't people just view an ERP as this luxury for massive conglomerates?
Yeah, or just a rigid beast of a system, right? Like something that required a small army of consultants just to keep it running.
Right, just a money pit.
Exactly. But in a high-velocity business environment, that perspective is entirely outdated.
You can't survive with that mindset.
No, you really can't. An ERP is now the digital nervous system of any organization that actually intends to survive and scale.
The digital nervous system, I like that.
Yeah, it's the core architecture that synchronizes every critical business process.
So let's contextualize what a synchronized digital nervous system actually looks like versus the fragmented chaos most of us are used to.
Okay, let's do it.
Think about coordinating a major international airport.
Well, that's a great analogy.
Right. Because you have baggage routing, you have fueling logistics, gate management, passenger ticketing.
So many moving parts.
Right. And if those departments operate in silos, like if the baggage handlers are using a different scheduling system than the gate agents.
And the fuel trucks are, I don't know, tracking arrivals on a whiteboard.
Yes. You have absolute chaos.
Yeah.
A delay at one gate ripples out invisibly.
And suddenly you have missed connections and lost luggage, all because the systems don't talk to each other.
Exactly. So an ERP is the master control tower.
Right.
It ensures that the exact second a flight is delayed by 20 minutes, the baggage team, the fuel depot, and the connecting flight gates instantly see that update.
And they can automatically adjust their workflows.
Exactly.
That airport dynamic maps perfectly to the target state of a modern enterprise. We're trying to move away from those high-variance manual procedures.
Moving toward what the book calls synchronized network collaboration.
Precisely. And the source material outlines 4 foundational pillars required to achieve that kind of value realization.
Okay, let's break those down. What's the first pillar?
The first is intelligence. You have to move beyond isolated spreadsheets into a centralized data core.
So getting all the data into one place.
Right. This is what gives leadership the advanced analytics necessary to foresee market shifts rather than just, constantly reacting to them.
Proactive, not reactive.
Exactly. Wow. And you can't have intelligence without the second pillar, which is trust.
Trust.
Yeah.
Which goes back to our CEO meeting example.
Yes, exactly. You have to establish a secure, governed framework so that the CFO and the VP of sales are pulling from the exact same single source of truth.
So no more arguing over whose dashboard is right,
Exactly. Then the third pillar is automation.
which everyone loves to talk about.
They do, but it's critical. We have to eliminate the incredible friction of routine manual tasks.
Data entry, basically.
Yeah, when you automate the mundane stuff, you shift your workforce's focus from data entry to data analysis.
So they stop typing numbers into boxes and start questioning what those numbers actually mean.
Exactly. It elevates their whole role. And finally, the fourth pillar is business continuity.
Making sure the whole thing doesn't crash.
Right. Building a resilient foundation ensures that mission-critical operations keep running smoothly, regardless of internal shocks or external supply chain disruptions.
Which we've seen a lot of lately.
Oh, definitely.
So when we look at how those 4 pillars actually manifest into tangible business value, the guide categorizes them into strategic areas, like supply chain resilience and market intelligence.
Yes, but the author makes a really interesting argument here.
What's that?
He argues that the true lens for evaluating a digital transformation is the financial backbone.
The financial backbone. Why does the ultimate health of an ERP implementation always come back to finance?
Well, because every single action in a business eventually hits the general ledger.
Right. Everything costs money or makes money.
Exactly. Whether a company is, purchasing raw materials, hiring an external contractor, or shipping a finished product.
It all turns into dollars and cents.
Every physical movement translates into financials. So a properly governed financial core provides the visibility to optimize cash flow and maintain strict regulatory compliance.
And when you optimize that financial core, I imagine the ripple effects are felt across the entire enterprise.
Huge ripple effects.
And we are talking about highly specific, value-driven metrics here. Like the C-suite is looking to decrease DSO.
Right, days sales outstanding.
Which just means the time it takes to actually collect cash after a sale is made.
Right, they want that number to be as low as possible.
And they want to reduce the financial close cycle time.
Oh, this is a big one.
Instead of an accounting team spending 3 grueling weeks closing the books at the end of every month.
With an optimized system, they can close them in 3 days.
3 days?
Yeah.
That's incredible. And they're also looking to increase ODIF, right? On time, in full delivery rates.
And lower the cost per customer acquisition.
Right. But achieving those metrics relies heavily on the system's ability to provide real-time visibility.
It does. We are talking about tracking EBITs to earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
Which usually takes a lot of work to figure out.
In a fragmented system, calculating your raw operating profitability is a forensic exercise.
You're just looking at historical data.
Exactly. But in an optimized ERP, the CFO monitors EBITDA margins in real time.
That's a game changer.
It is, but getting there requires a profound psychological shift for the workforce.
Okay, yeah, that brings up a massive friction point.
It really does.
Because if an ERP provides intelligent predictive operations powered by self-learning algorithms, what happens to the mid-level manager?
Right.
Because there are highly paid professionals whose entire routine for the last 10 years has been manually extracting data from 3 different databases.
Formatting it in Excel.
And emailing a weekly status report to a vice president. If the ERP autonomous engine does that instantly, do those managers panic?
They often do panic. And it represents one of the largest hurdles in change management.
I can imagine.
Because that manager's perceived value has been directly tied to their ability to gather and organize all that disparate data.
Right. They were the gatekeeper of that information.
Exactly. So the transition forces them to move from a reactive posture of data gathering to a proactive posture of strategic analysis.
So their new mandate isn't to build the margin report.
No, it's to analyze the automated report and determine exactly why margins dropped by 2% in the Midwest region yesterday.
And then formulate a plan to fix it today.
Right. It elevates their roles significantly. But letting go of those comfortable manual tasks requires immense trust in the new system.
Which is hard to build.
Very hard.
Okay, so understanding that end state is clarifying. But it begs a rather large question for me.
Okay, what's that?
If the benefits are this obvious, if the system lowers costs, improves intelligence, speeds up the financial close, why do so many organizations fail to actually realize these gains?
It's the million-dollar question.
Why does the implementation of an ERP so often feel like an expensive burden rather than a massive advantage?
It all comes down to understanding organizational maturity.
Organizational maturity. Okay, explain that.
Well, you can purchase the most sophisticated, state-of-the-art software on the market.
Right.
But if your company's operational maturity is fundamentally low, you're essentially dropping a Formula One engine into a golf cart.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's just going to tear the chassis apart.
Exactly. ERP maturity is a measure of how effectively an organization actually utilizes its architecture to drive business value.
Okay, so let's track a company's evolution through the 4 stages of maturity outlined in the guide.
Let's do it.
What does a company at the very beginning, stage 1, look like?
So stage 1 is categorized as reactive.
Reactive.
Yeah. In this state, the ERP is nothing more than a basic recording tool.
Like just a digital ledger.
Pretty much. It's often used simply because the company needs a mechanism to cut vendor checks and issue payroll.
So there's a massive reliance on manual workarounds.
Huge reliance. The data is entirely inconsistent. It's deeply siloed within departments.
And I'm guessing largely untrusted by leadership.
Oh, completely untrusted. The real business is still being managed on offline spreadsheets hidden on individual hard drives.
Classic shadow IT.
Exactly.
So how does a company know when they've broken out of that and reached stage 2, the functional stage?
In the functional stage, you start to see some proficiency, but it remains isolated.
Okay.
Key departments might use the ERP quite well within their own boundaries.
Like finance, maybe.
Right, the finance team might have a clean, standard workflow, but cross-departmental integration remains incredibly poor.
So finance still cannot see what the manufacturing floor is doing.
Not without running complex, painful reconciliations at the end of the week.
Right, so our airport is still chaotic, even if the baggage team happens to be highly efficient on their own.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Okay, then we move to stage 3, the integrated stage.
This is where the structural transformation really becomes visible. You achieve full process integration.
Full integration. So what does that look like in practice?
Well, let's take the order-to-cash process.
Okay, so from a customer placing an order to the warehouse shipping it to accounting collecting the payment.
Right. In stage 3, that entire life cycle flows seamlessly across every departmental boundary without manual data entry in between.
No one is retyping anything.
Exactly. A single version of the truth is finally established.
And management starts relying directly on common ERP dashboards instead of custom-built slide decks.
Yes. And then the final destination is stage 4, the optimized stage.
Optimized.
At this stage, the data is flawless and heavily governed.
Flawless data. That sounds like a dream.
It is the dream. The organization is no longer just using the ERP to track what has already happened.
They're looking for...
Right. They are using advanced analytics and machine learning to drive continuous improvement and predictive forecasting.
So the culture itself shifts from just maintaining operations to leveraging data for constant innovation.
Precisely.
Okay, so knowing those 4 stages is a helpful diagnostic.
It is.
But how does an executive actually discover where their company currently sits?
That is the hard part.
Because the source material details a stakeholder discovery and capability mapping phase.
Right.
And it heavily emphasizes a concept called the Gemba walk.
Yes, the Gemba walk.
Where does that come from, and why is it so critical?
So the term Gemba originates from Japanese business practices, most notably the Toyota production system.
Okay.
It translates to the actual place.
Actual place.
Yeah. In this context, a Gemba walk means leaving the executive boardroom and going to the exact location where the daily work is executed.
So getting out of the ivory tower.
Exactly. You do not ask a vice president how a process functions. You go sit next to the procurement clerk who is actually keying in the purchase orders.
Oh, because there's always a vast, often terrifying gap between executive expectations and end-user reality.
Terrifying is the right word.
Like the CEO assumes the procurement process is entirely automated and highly efficient. But then you sit with the clerk and you realize they are manually retyping PDF invoices into an old database because the automatic scanner broke 3 years ago.
That happens all the time. The Gemba walk is primarily an expedition to uncover shadow IT.
Right.
You ask an employee to show you their daily workflow. They log into the standard ERP, but then they immediately minimize it to open a massive color-coded Excel tracker on their desktop.
Right there on the screen.
That right there proves the ERP is not supporting the actual business requirement.
Because the user had to invent an offline workaround just to survive their shift.
Exactly.
Now, let me push back on this a little bit, on the idea that these workarounds are inherently bad.
Okay, go for it.
If a frontline employee takes the initiative to build a highly complex Excel macro that saves their department 3 hours of manual data entry every single day,
Yeah.
isn't that something we should celebrate? I mean, they optimize their workflow.
It seems like it, right?
Yeah. Why should an implementation team swoop in, audit them, and force them to abandon this incredibly efficient macro for a standard ERP process?
It is the absolute most common resistance you encounter during a transformation.
I bet.
The employee feels punished for being innovative.
Because they were just trying to help.
Right. But the systemic risk of that macro is enormous.
How so?
First, that offline workaround represents a critical single point of failure. When that brilliant employee gets promoted, leaves the company, or simply goes on vacation, the institutional knowledge vanishes with them.
Right. No one else in the department knows how the macro actually calculates the data.
And the entire workflow grinds to a halt.
It's the classic bus factor.
The bus factor.
Yeah, if the one person who understands the spreadsheet gets hit by a bus, the department is completely paralyzed.
Exactly. A grim way to put it, but yes.
Right.
Furthermore, because that data is generated and stored in a localized Excel file, it never enters the single source of truth.
So it creates a dark spot in the organization's visibility.
Yes. The executives are out there making multi-million-dollar strategic decisions based on fragmented, potentially outdated numbers.
Just because a critical piece of the puzzle is hiding on a laptop in the procurement department.
Exactly. You are trading enterprise-wide data integrity for the sake of localized efficiency.
Okay, that makes total sense. You cannot run predictive autonomous operations if the machine doesn't have all the data.
You just can't.
So the book structures the roadmap to fix these systemic issues across 3 horizons.
Right.
Horizon 1 covers the first 0 to 6 months. And the primary directive is to stabilize and standardize.
Right, so you focus entirely on fixing data quality.
Dismantling those manual workarounds.
Enforcing mandatory user training. It is the really hard work of moving from a reactive state to a functional state.
Then Horizon 2 spans from 6 to 18 months. The focus shifts to integrate and automate.
This is where the organization implements native workflow automation.
Connecting third-party systems directly to the core.
Right, and establishing those cross-departmental dashboards. You are actively moving the company from functional to integrated.
And then Horizon 3 looks 18 to 36 months out. Innovate and optimize.
Yes. Only now do you begin deploying predictive analytics.
Integrating machine learning for supply chain forecasting.
And utilizing continuous process mining. This is the big push to that final optimized stage.
Okay, understanding that timeline is crucial. But recognizing you have a fragmented system doesn't actually fix the fragmentation.
No, it doesn't.
The timeline dictates when things should happen, but not how to make them happen. What actually drives a company through those horizons?
Well, that's the real challenge, isn't it?
Right. You can't just install the software, send out a company-wide memo, and magically expect the culture of the workforce to change.
Definitely not. Which transitions us perfectly into the engine of success.
Critical success factors and process optimization.
Yes. This is arguably the foundational core of the entire guidebook.
It really is.
The critical success factors, or CSFs, required to achieve true operational excellence are almost entirely cultural and strategic.
They are rarely technical.
Right. The absolute paramount factor is executive sponsorship and strategic alignment.
Executive sponsorship.
Without visible, unwavering commitment from the highest levels of leadership, the project just lacks the sheer organizational authority required to change long-standing, inefficient business processes.
Because if the CEO isn't visibly championing the transformation,
the individual departments will simply dig their heels in.
right, they'll just wait for the initiative to blow over like everything else.
Exactly.
Alongside executive sponsorship, the guide highlights business process reengineering,
Data governance,
change management,
and cultivating a continuous improvement culture.
but there's a specific rule within process optimization that fundamentally challenges how most companies approach software.
Yes.
80-20 rule.
The 80-20 rule is a monumental paradigm shift for most organizations.
Okay, break it down for us.
The principle dictates that 80% of your business operations should adopt the out-of-the-box standard functionality provided by the ERP vendor.
Out of the box, so just vanilla software.
Right. Only 20% of your operations should be customized.
And those customizations should be strictly reserved for areas where the company possesses a unique competitive advantage.
Exactly.
The phrase Bashorun uses is adopt, don't adapt.
Adopt, don't adapt.
Right. Instead of forcing the highly expensive new software, to adapt and mimic your old, deeply flawed manual processes.
Which is the instinct of almost every company, by the way.
Right. Instead of doing that, you force your organization to adopt the vanilla industry best practices that are already hard-coded into the ERP.
Because you cannot achieve operational excellence by digitizing a fundamentally broken manual process.
Doesn't make sense.
Right. I mean, if your internal accounts payable workflow is a disaster of redundant approvals and bottlenecks,
Right.
and you pay consultants millions of dollars to customize the new ERP to match that exact workflow perfectly.
You haven't improved your business.
No, you have simply created a faster, more expensive disaster.
Faster disaster. I love that. But let me challenge the reality of the adopt, don't adapt rule.
Bring it on.
If every single competitor in my industry buys the exact same Tier 1 ERP software,
Okay.
and we all follow this rule and use the exact same vanilla best practices out of the box,
Right.
how on earth do I maintain my competitive edge? Don't I just become an indistinguishable digital clone of my rivals?
It is the very first question every executive asks when told they cannot customize their workflows.
Oh, you ask it.
But the 80-20 rule addresses this directly.
Yeah.
The 80% you are standardizing consists of the mundane, non-differentiating tasks.
Okay.
How you process an inbound vendor invoice, how you reconcile a general ledger.
How you conduct a background check on a new hire.
Exactly. These processes do not make your company unique.
Right.
No client has ever chosen to buy your product because you have a highly customized artisanal accounts payable process.
Artisanal accounts payable.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. But okay, fair point. The customer only cares about the end product, not how I pay my utility bills.
Exactly. The remaining 20% is where you protect your unique value proposition.
So what falls into that 20%?
Well, if your competitive edge is a highly proprietary manufacturing technique,
Or like a highly specialized customer service routing system.
yes, that is where you spend the time and money to customize the software.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Furthermore, the real competitive advantage of an ERP isn't the code itself.
It's not.
No, it is the organizational agility you gain by mastering it.
The agility.
It is your ability to pivot supply chains faster than your competitor because your standardized data is pristine and instantly available.
Which directly links to the data governance factor we talked about earlier.
Yes, it does.
The guide draws a stark line between clean data migration and the concept of garbage in, garbage out.
Very important concept.
If an organization takes highly optimized, state-of-the-art 2026 ERP architecture and feeds it with deeply flawed, duplicated, inconsistent data migrated from their legacy 2015 systems.
The new system will immediately fail to produce insights.
And the ultimate tragedy is that the end users will wrongly blame the new software.
They always do.
They'll say the new ERP is terrible, when in reality, their underlying data was corrupt from the start.
Exactly. In a deeply integrated environment, a data error in one department instantly cascades through the entire enterprise.
All right, think back to our airport analogy.
If the ticketing system inputs the wrong aircraft weight, it corrupts the fuel calculation,
Which alters the gate arrival time.
which misaligns the baggage handlers.
Everything breaks.
In business, if a warehouse worker enters an incorrect unit of measure for a raw material, it instantly corrupts the procurement forecast.
It inflates the inventory valuation.
And it creates a massive error on the CFO's financial statement.
Wow.
That is why assigning dedicated data stewards to govern information is non-negotiable.
And all of this circles back to the people actually executing the change.
Always comes back to people.
You can have pristine data and standardized processes, but if the workforce actively resists it, the transformation fails.
Completely fails.
The author makes a critical point regarding change management and the use of subject matter experts, or SMEs.
Oh, this is a huge point.
You are required to assign your absolute brightest, most knowledgeable employees to design the new system workflows.
Yes.
But the rule is, you must completely backfill their daily roles.
Yes.
Why do companies fight this so hard?
Because your SMEs are invariably your most productive employees.
Right.
They are the people holding the current fragmented system together through sheer competence.
They're the ones holding the whole place together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So removing them from their daily duties causes immediate short-term pain for their department.
So companies try to compromise.
Always. They ask the SME to do their highly demanding 40-hour-a-week day job.
And also dedicate 20 hours a week to designing a multi-million-dollar enterprise system.
Which is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, that sounds impossible.
The SME burns out rapidly, the daily operations suffer, and the ERP design is compromised because the expert was just too exhausted to think strategically.
Right.
You have to bite the bullet, backfill their position with a temporary resource, and dedicate the SME fully to the transformation.
Okay, so let's say a company navigates all of this perfectly.
A perfect implementation.
Right. They align the executives, they dedicate their best SMEs, they enforce the 80-20 rule, they clean the legacy data, and they reach the go-live date.
Pop the champagne.
Right. The system is turned on, the executives are thrilled, but history shows this is exactly when ERP systems begin to silently die.
It is.
Why does the system start rotting the day after it goes live?
Because the most dangerous assumption an organization can make is treating the go-live date as the finish line of the project.
Ah.
In reality, go-live is merely the starting line. It is the first day the company actually begins using the tool.
Which brings us to ERP business support and continuity, or what the author calls post-live evolution.
This is where the actual return on investment is extracted.
Right. And it hinges entirely on that 80-20 rule we discussed.
It does. If you built your system on 80% out-of-the-box functionality, it is exponentially easier to maintain and upgrade.
Because the IT department isn't spending all their time defensively fixing broken custom scripts every time the vendor releases a security patch.
Exactly. They can move to an offensive posture, looking for ways to optimize.
The framework outlines specific objectives for this post-live phase. At a baseline, you have to minimize disruptions and maximize user productivity.
Because when a user logs in on day one, they are facing an entirely new interface.
Right.
The friction of learning that UI is an immediate threat to productivity.
When a user submits a ticket because they cannot figure out how to process an order, the organization must have a strict service level agreement.
An SLA.
Right, an SLA dictating exactly how many hours the support team has to resolve that issue before it impacts customer delivery.
And as time goes on, the challenge shifts from basic troubleshooting to preventing what the guide calls knowledge decay.
Knowledge decay. It is a highly visceral concept.
It really is.
Think about it. The original team of users who were meticulously trained on the new system eventually get promoted or leave the company.
Right.
They train their replacements, but they only train them on the specific buttons they use every day.
And then those replacements train the next generation.
It becomes a massive game of corporate telephone.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Without a structured intervention, the workforce forgets the systemic shortcuts.
They revert to creating offline spreadsheets.
Yes. The collective understanding of the ERP literally rots over time.
And the system becomes less effective year after year.
It's a slow, silent killer of operational excellence.
So how do you combat knowledge decay?
To combat it, the organization must cultivate an active knowledge ecosystem.
Okay, what does that involve?
This involves maintaining a highly accurate knowledge library of documentation,
Utilizing learning management systems for continuous training.
establishing a center of excellence. But the most vital component of this ecosystem is the human layer.
The human layer.
Specifically, the role of the super user.
The super user.
Yeah.
Let's clearly define the super user, because I think a lot of people assume this is an IT professional sitting in a server room analyzing code.
Oh, not at all. A super user is an operational employee.
Okay.
It is the shift supervisor on the warehouse floor, or the senior accountant in finance who simply possesses an intuitive knack for the new system.
Oh, the person who just gets it.
Right. They understand not just which buttons to click, but why the system requires that data. They act as the on-the-floor translator between the complex technological architecture and the daily, grinding reality of their peers.
They have the departmental champions.
Yes.
If a new hire is struggling to close out a batch record and is about to open a new Excel spreadsheet to bypass the system,
The super user is physically right there to intervene.
they show the new hire the correct standard workflow, preventing shadow IT from taking root again.
Exactly. They are your first line of defense.
And part of empowering that defense is maintaining strict business continuity.
Right. Now, when we hear that phrase, our minds immediately jump to catastrophic disaster recovery.
Like a hurricane flooding the server farm.
Right.
We talk about RPO and RTO. How much historical data are we willing to permanently lose? That is the recovery point objective.
And how many hours or days can the business survive while we get the backup servers online?
That is the recovery time objective.
Exactly.
Those metrics are critical. But Bashorun's framework expands business continuity to include the mundane, day-to-day health of the system.
Through the periodic operational review.
Right, this is a structured baseline audit of how the system is actually being used 6 months or a year after go live.
So you evaluate end user adoption rates.
Are cycle times for purchase orders benchmarked against industry standards?
What are the help desk ticket trends telling us?
Right. If there is a massive spike in tickets regarding a specific inventory module, it usually indicates a systemic workflow bottleneck.
Or a glaring gap in the initial training.
Exactly. You conduct these reviews to catch bad habits before they become permanently institutionalized. And during this post-live evolution, the company also has to navigate the tension between the technology push and the business pull.
It is a constant dynamic loop of alignment.
So the technology push occurs when the ERP vendor releases a mandatory update or introduces a powerful new native feature.
Right. The business must proactively evaluate that push. Can we leverage this new native machine learning forecasting tool to finally retire that expensive third-party bolt-on software we've been paying licensing fees for?
So the technology is pushing the business's capabilities forward.
Exactly.
Conversely, the business pull happens when the company's strategy changes
The business acquires a smaller competitor.
or decides to launch an entirely new product line in a different country.
Yes. The business strategy is now pulling the technology forward.
The ERP architecture has to adapt to these new legal and operational requirements without fracturing the existing baseline processes.
Right.
Okay, so we have established a comprehensive theoretical foundation.
We really have.
We understand the 4 pillars of value, the psychological shifts required, the maturity matrix, the critical success factors like the 80-20 rule, and the necessity of post-live governance.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but abstract frameworks only take us so far.
Right.
How does this architecture actually drive operational excellence when it collides with the physical reality of specific industries?
That is where we see the true scalability of Bashorun's framework.
Okay, let's look at how this manifests across different sectors, starting with the manufacturing industry.
Good place to start.
The core function of manufacturing is physically transforming raw materials into finished, sellable products.
Right.
The critical shift for achieving operational excellence here is establishing absolute shop floor-to-top floor integration.
The primary failure point in manufacturing is latency.
Latency, okay.
If the production floor operates as a black box, meaning the finance and supply chain teams have no real-time visibility into what is actually being produced until the end of a shift,
You cannot optimize.
you can't. Integrating the manufacturing execution system, or MES, directly into the ERP eliminates that latency,
The guide highlights the necessary evolution from traditional material requirements planning.
which is a push system that relies on rigid forecasts and often results in bloated, expensive inventories.
To demand-driven MRP.
Right. This is a pull system that dynamically synchronizes the entire supply chain with actual real-time market demand.
The key performance indicators in this environment are incredibly precise. You're tracking OEE, overall equipment effectiveness,
Right.
which measures exactly how available and performant a machine is alongside its quality output.
It's a critical metric.
But what I found profoundly interesting was the financial pivot the author describes, moving from cost accounting to value orchestration.
It fundamentally changes how a plant manager views profitability.
How so?
Traditional cost accounting is a passive historical exercise. It involves looking back at the end of the month and calculating what a product cost to manufacture based on average labor and material rates.
Okay, so it's all in the rearview mirror.
Exactly. Active value orchestration is the optimization of what that product costs to manufacture right now on the line.
Real time.
By capturing real-time scrap data, exact labor hours, and precise machine energy usage directly into the product costing module.
The ERP immediately identifies what the author refers to as the silent killers of profit.
Exactly. You stop averaging out the losses and start seeing the hidden rework or inefficient machine calibrations instantly.
Okay, let me put myself in the shoes of the operator working on that factory floor.
Okay.
Let's zero in on this concept of theoretical to actual yield costing.
Right?
If the ERP system is deeply integrated with IoT sensors, tracking every single gram of raw materials consumed and every second of labor utilized in real time,
Yeah.
how does that not feel incredibly dystopian?
I know, it sounds a bit Big Brother.
Is the ERP basically acting as an omnipresent digital hall monitor, constantly hovering over my shoulder, just waiting for me to make a mistake so it can flag my performance?
It is a completely natural feel, and it requires a significant cultural reframing by leadership.
Okay.
Ah,
The ERP is not a digital hall monitor designed to punish operators. It is an X-ray machine designed to protect the
probably an
process.
X-ray machine.
Its primary function is removing latency to prevent catastrophic downstream failures.
Okay, give me an example.
Imagine an operator is running a high-speed injection molding machine.
Right.
Without real-time integration, they might not realize a calibration is slightly off until the end of a 12-hour shift, at which point they have produced 500 defective units that must be scrapped.
That's terrible.
It is demoralizing for the operator and incredibly costly for the company.
Yeah.
An integrated ERP acts as an X-ray. It analyzes the micro variations in the process, identifies the calibration error immediately, and automatically stops the line at Unit 5.
Wow.
It saves the operator from a massive headache and protects the company's margins.
An X-ray machine, not a hall monitor. That reframing is critical.
It really is.
And you see the ultimate power of that X-ray level of visibility when things go wrong on a micro scale.
Oh, definitely. Consider the requirement for traceability in the food and beverage industry.
High stakes there.
Very high stakes. If a supplier notifies you of a product recall regarding a specific batch of raw ingredients,
Operational excellence means utilizing the ERP to isolate that exact contaminated batch.
track its routing through the entire production process,
Identify the finished goods it was mixed into.
and locate the exact 5 delivery trucks those goods were loaded onto, all within a matter of minutes.
In a fragmented system, that takes days of forensic auditing.
In an optimized ERP, it is instantaneous.
That level of precision is not just operational efficiency. It is brand protection and risk mitigation.
Absolutely. Now, if we pivot our focus to the energy industry, the physical scale and financial volatility change dramatically.
They do.
But the core principles of the framework remain entirely applicable.
Right. The energy sector is remarkably capital intensive.
Right.
Therefore, the operational focus shifts heavily toward enterprise asset management and capital project financials.
We are talking about staggering investments here. Managing an authorization for expenditure, or AFE.
Right.
This involved the highly complex capital budgeting required to construct offshore oil rigs, massive wind farms, or cross-country pipelines.
In a retail business, poor data might result in a stockout of a popular item.
Which is bad, but
Right. In the energy sector, if your data foundation regarding capital projects and asset maintenance is poor,
it does not just lead to massive financial leakage.
it leads to catastrophic operational hazards and environmental incidents.
Tracking the highly detailed life cycle and depreciation of these massive physical assets is paramount.
And the maturity shift in asset management mirrors the shifts we saw in manufacturing.
Okay, so moving from reactive to predictive.
Energy companies must move from reactive maintenance to predictive maintenance.
Right, because in a reactive state, you wait for a critical pump on an offshore rig to physically break down.
The rig shuts down, production halts, and you scramble to fly a technician out via helicopter.
It costs millions of dollars in lost downtime.
Exactly. In an optimized state, the ERP utilizes IoT vibration and temperature data from that pump
Runs it through predictive analytics,
and alerts the maintenance team.
saying, hey, this pump is vibrating outside of normal operational parameters. Dispatch a technician to replace a bearing next Tuesday before it fails.
Exactly. The system orchestrates the downtime on your schedule, not the machine's.
That's huge.
The ERP also manages highly complex joint venture accounting, tracking split operational costs among multiple investing partners.
And directly integrates environmental health and safety incident tracking.
Right, the field service technician's mobile application is natively connected to the core financial ledger.
Okay, the guide also explores how this architecture adapts to non-industrial sectors, dedicating focus to both education and healthcare.
It illustrates just how pervasive the problem of siloed data is across all facets of society.
Right, think about a major university. The silos are deeply entrenched.
You have the admissions department tracking applicants,
The registrar managing course enrollments,
the financial aid office handling massive federal loans.
the alumni association tracking donations, and the human resources department managing faculty payroll.
In a fragmented state, a student is treated as 5 different entities across 5 different databases.
It's a mess.
The ERP, in an educational context, acts as the centralized hub, creating a unified student life cycle.
Okay.
From the initial online inquiry of a prospective applicant through their 4 years of academic enrollment to their integration into the alumni donor network.
The data remains consistent.
Yes. It provides the administration with the analytics to predict enrollment trends, optimize faculty course loads, and ensure the financial sustainability of the institution.
And we see a similar transformation required in healthcare.
Oh, healthcare is huge.
A hospital is perhaps the ultimate example of critical, high-stakes data silos.
Because you have the clinical side, right? The doctors and nurses managing patient health via electronic health record.
And you have the operational side.
The procurement teams managing the incredibly complex medical supply chain.
And the billing department attempting to navigate insurance claims.
If those two sides do not communicate perfectly, the system breaks down.
The focus in healthcare ERP implementation is on resource optimization and integrating clinical operations with the business system.
Consider a specific surgical supply item, like a specialized orthopedic implant.
Oh.
In an optimized system, the moment the surgeon uses that implant in the operating room, the clinical record updates.
Right.
The ERP immediately triggers a procurement workflow to reorder the item to maintain inventory pars,
While simultaneously passing the exact billing code to the finance department to initiate revenue cycle management with the insurance provider.
The latency is entirely removed, ensuring both patient care and financial viability.
Whether we are tracking the maintenance schedule of an offshore oil rig, the enrollment trajectory of a university student, the supply chain of a surgical hospital, or the equipment effectiveness of a manufacturing plant.
The fundamental connective tissue is exactly the same.
The ERP Advantage framework scales across all of these incredibly diverse environments by enforcing a single, unified source of truth.
It clearly proves that the ultimate advantage of an enterprise resource planning system is not found in the technical code or the vendor's brand name.
It's not.
The advantage is the clarity, the speed, the data integrity, and the culture of continuous improvement it forces your organization to adopt.
We have covered a massive amount of ground today.
We really have.
Think back to where we started. The chaotic, murky waters of shadow IT, surrounded by disparate spreadsheets and fighting with clunky, disconnected departmental silos.
We explored how to escape that chaos by building on the 4 pillars of intelligence, trust, automation, and continuity.
We walked the Gemma to uncover hidden workarounds.
And tracked the evolution of organizational maturity from a reactive scramble to a fully optimized, predictive powerhouse.
And we identified the absolute necessity of executive alignment.
We analyzed the difficult cultural mandate of the 80-20 rule, forcing the business to adopt standard processes rather than adapting the software to bad habits.
We highlighted the critical importance of dedicating your best subject matter experts to the design phase.
Right.
And perhaps most importantly, we learned that the go-live date is merely the beginning of the journey.
It's just the start.
To extract true value, an organization must relentlessly combat knowledge decay by cultivating a knowledge ecosystem
Empowering operational superusers.
and committing to periodic operational reviews.
The central thesis of Bashorun's guidebook is clear. An ERP is not a piece of software you simply install and forget.
It is a living, breathing ecosystem that you must constantly cultivate.
It requires immense executive bravery
A ruthless dedication to standardizing the mundane.
and an unwavering commitment to a culture of operational excellence.
As we conclude this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought to consider regarding the future of these systems.
Oh, I like where this is going.
The source material outlines the optimized stage of ERP maturity as an environment heavily driven by predictive analytics and machine learning.
Right.
If we extrapolate that trajectory into the future, as AI agents become increasingly sophisticated and entirely autonomous at managing supply chains and reconciling financials,
Yeah.
we have to ask a profound question. Will the enterprise architecture of the 2030s even require a human user interface?
Wow.
Or will the ERP evolve into an invisible, self-correcting neural network that runs the operational mechanics of the company entirely in the background?
Just completely in the background.
If the system achieves perfect autonomous operational excellence, where exactly does human intuition fit into the daily workflow of the enterprise?
That is a staggering concept.
Are we currently just training these systems to eventually bypass us entirely?
It really makes you reconsider the baseline scenario we discussed at the beginning of the hour.
Right now, asking your CFO and your VP of sales for a simple revenue number often sparks an impossible, frustrating archaeological expedition.
But with the right strategic framework, the right organizational culture, and a truly synchronized digital nervous system,
You don't have to dig through the sediment anymore. The X-ray is clear, the truth is instantly accessible. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We will catch you next time.